A little bit about a story that's pretty close to my heart. A little over 3 years ago, I was called, just like any other day. My mom gave me a call. It wasn't beyond anything that was any different than normal. She called me. She kind of sounded worried. I really didn't know, what to expect. All she really told me is, your mom, as me, your sister, your aunt, your cousins, we're all headed to Stillwater, and we need to come pick you up. Okay, well, my dad was in California. I was like, that's kind of weird. I'm supposed to be coming home. It was on a Friday. So I basically just was told to pack a suitcase, and I was ready to go. So I recruited some help with Sarah, my best friend, and we kind of just packed me a suitcase, not really knowing how long I was going to be there or anything. And then when they got here, she sat me down in my room, and she said, I got a call about 5:30 this morning, and your cousin Travis has passed away. And he was 21 at the time. So for me, it was really hard on me. He's my cousin. He's somebody that I really was really close to. We had planned a trip to Oklahoma that I was supposed to come and hang out with me. So as you can tell, it was one of those things where you didn't really know what to say. So we got up there to be with our family. Some of you guys might wonder, how did this happen? What actually happened in the scenario where he actually passed away? What happened was, one of Travis's friends had came back into town, and they said, hey, I want to come meet up with you, catch up, just like friends do. And he said, okay, that'd be perfect. So they went, and they had a few drinks. Obviously, we aren't really sure how many they had, probably a few pitchers or so. Kind of just, kicked around with the guys, talked a little bit. And then his buddy was like, hey, I really want to go somewhere else. So they decided to go. Well, it was dark at the time. His friend was driving, and they came out on this road, and a car pulled out in front of him. Well, at that point, his buddy didn't really, know how close the car was. So he couldn't really, his reaction time was off. So they ended up hitting him, which spun into oncoming traffic. And as they hit the third car, with my cousin in the passenger seat, the car hit where Travis was sitting. And so he was actually killed on impact. When they did the autopsy, he was actually, the autopsy said it was a ruptured aorta. And if you guys know what that means, basically he was taken right when it happened. At that point, it was a really hard thing for us. Although alcohol was not the only cause, it obviously was in his system, so it was a huge thing that his buddy can't take back. His friend that was driving did end up surviving the crash, so it's something that he lives with the rest of his life. Now, if I put you in a perspective, who's from a small town? Anybody from a small town? Okay, you know who everybody is in your small town for the most part. Well, he is from a small town in Albany, Missouri. He was the quarterback on the football team, starting guard in the basketball team. They recruited any athlete that was any good at anything to do every sport. So a little bit about his impact in sports is he was a track star coming into his senior year, projected to win 4 gold medals in different events, and he tore his ACL in regionals practice. So that just kind of shows you, how much of an impact he had on his community when it came to sports. Everybody that knew him got the word pretty quickly with it being a small town, and everybody was affected. Obviously, as his family, it was really hard on my aunt, uncle, and his sister for the most part. They grew up with like a group of guys kind of stuck together all through grade school. So for those guys to get that news, it tore them apart because one of their buddies that they always hang out with isn't there anymore. So the kind of questions that I kind of thought of is, how can somebody that's only 21 years old, that's just realized, really what he wants to do with his career, how can he really be taken from us like this? And in addition to all my personal opinions on the circumstance, this is one of the biggest reasons why I've taken a stand and not to really drive at all when I'm on the influence of anything, whether it be any kind of substance. And I wouldn't want it to happen to any of you guys. I don't even know most of you in here, but there's no way I'd want any of that to happen to any of my family ever again. Any of his friends are the same way. We kind of have taken this stand. It's definitely the hardest thing that I've ever been through, being just a cousin, but also as his friend, it's been really hard. So the last thing that I kind of have to say is, when it happened to him, it really hit home for me because I was his cousin, but also I wasn't even 21 yet, and since that time I have became the age 21, and it's really hit home to me because I took a whole new approach on life once. I kind of became older than he ever was. It was a really hard day for me when I really realized, you know, I can't take life for granted because my cousin never had this. I want to live this, you know, for him, but also for God, and know that, you know, we don't ever really know what's going to happen. So I just want you guys to be aware, you know, you may think you're perfectly fine, but I've told all of my friends, and I'll tell you guys in here, I would rather somebody have my phone number and call me up and say, I don't really know, I think I could still drive, but I don't want to because I don't want to risk anything. I would rather get that phone call than anything else. Upon graduation, I'm actually planning on getting a tattoo that will be in memory of him. He had a rose from one of his favorite bands that he had on his arm, and I'm actually going to put that on my left rib cage to just kind of hopefully, you know, remind me of him and what he's done and the impact that he's made on my life, and I hope it impacts you guys in some way too.